Welcome, everyone. Today we are taking a deep dive into a book that I think will resonate with so many of us, The Work-Parent Switch.
It's by Anita Cleare, and it's full of so many practical tips for managing, well, that feeling we all know.
Being pulled in a million directions.
Precisely.
Like, how can we possibly do it all? Be successful at work, be present parents.
And somehow not completely lose ourselves in the process.
Seriously. And what I love about this book is it doesn't sugarcoat anything. It acknowledges how tough it is.
Right. And it doesn't offer those cheesy, oversimplified solutions either.
It feels very real world.
Absolutely. It really resonated with me, especially the section on parenting holes.
Ooh, those sound dangerous. Like, what are parenting holes exactly?
Well, she describes them as these common traps that even well-intentioned parents can fall into.
Okay. I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
One that stood out to me, and that I think a lot of working parents might relate to, is that tendency to want every moment of family time to be perfect.
Ugh, yes. Like, we only have a limited amount of time together.
Right.
So it has to be magical.
And, of course, that sets us up for disappointment, because...
Kids are going to be kids. Someone's
Yeah.
going to spill juice. Someone's going to have a meltdown.
Right. And then we end up feeling like we failed somehow.
So instead of enjoying those precious moments, we're stressed out trying to orchestrate the perfect family fun.
And Cleare points out how that pressure to be perfect can actually make us less effective at setting boundaries.
How so? I think wanting things to go smoothly would make you more strict.
Well, it's that fear of conflict, right?
So to avoid a meltdown and ruining the perfect evening, we cave in to demands we'd normally resist.
Exactly. And she connects that to another parenting hole. Giving in to avoid conflict.
I'm guessing that actually backfires, right? Doesn't it just lead to more meltdowns down the road?
That's the thing, and she makes this really interesting connection to Skinner's box experiments. Remember those?
Vaguely. Refresh my memory.
Basically, they showed that inconsistent rewards actually make behavior more persistent. Like, imagine a rat pressing a lever.
And sometimes it gets food, sometimes it doesn't.
Yep. So the rat becomes even more determined to keep pressing that lever because it's learned that persistence eventually pays on.
Ooh, okay, I see where you're going with this. So if we sometimes give in to those tantrums, our kids learn that they just need to be persistent enough.
Even if it takes multiple meltdowns, they'll eventually get what they want.
Ugh. So it's not about spoiling them. It's like we're actually wiring their brains for more drama.
And this is where the book gets really insightful. It helps us understand the why behind children's behavior.
So we can move past that blame and frustration and actually start responding in a way that helps them learn.
Exactly. It's not about being permissive. It's about understanding that their brains are still developing, and we have a role in shaping those neural pathways.
Okay, so we've got picture-perfect family time and giving in to avoid conflict. What other parenting holes should we be watching out for?
Well, another big one is inconsistency.
With boundaries.
Not just boundaries, but with, well, everything, really. Like one day it's no screens after dinner, but then the next day we're exhausted, so we let them watch a movie.
Oh, I've totally been there. The lure of a quiet evening is strong.
And it's understandable, but Cleare's point is that this inconsistency sends mixed messages and makes it harder for kids to internalize rules.
So are we setting ourselves up for a power struggle by not having that clear, consistent structure?
It certainly creates a breeding ground for it. Kids thrive on predictability and knowing what to expect.
Okay, so consistency is key. Got it. What was the last parenting pitfall?
This one might be the most insidious, focusing on negative behavior rather than amplifying the positive.
I think we're all guilty of that sometimes. It's like our brains are wired to zero in on what's wrong.
It's that negativity bias. But Cleare encourages us to make a conscious effort to shift our focus.
So instead of constantly correcting them, we should be catching them doing something good and praising that.
Right. Notice those little wins, a toy shared, a moment of calm, a helpful gesture. Those are the moments that deserve our attention.
It's like we need to retrain our brains to see the good stuff.
Precisely. And this is where she introduces a really powerful concept: parental attention as a superpower.
Ooh, I like that. Tell me more.
It's about recognizing that children are hardwired to seek attention.
Makes sense.
So instead of giving them attention when they're acting out, we can strategically direct our attention towards the behaviors we want to see more of.
So if my kid, let's say, ends screen time without a meltdown, even if they're grumbling about it, that's when I should lay on the praise.
Exactly. You're acknowledging their effort and reinforcing that positive behavior.
Okay, this is blowing my mind a little. I never thought of it that way.
It's about shifting from being the behavior police to being positive reinforcement agents.
I love that. Okay, so we've covered some major parenting holes, but let's talk about the elephant in the room. Work.
Mm.
How do we balance all this with the demands of our jobs?
That's where it gets even trickier, right? And Cleare doesn't shy away from that tension. She talks about how our modern work culture, with its emphasis on efficiency and productivity, can clash with the needs of our children.
It's like we're constantly in go mode, and then we come home expecting our kids to operate on that same frantic timeline.
And of course they don't. They need time to process, to explore, to just be.
It's like their rhythm is fundamentally different from ours.
And that's where conflict arises.
So how do we bridge that gap? Do we just need to become more zen, less focused on getting things done?
Well, it's not about becoming a different person entirely, but Cleare does emphasize the importance of transition routines.
Like, what do you do when you walk in the door after work?
Exactly. It's about creating a buffer zone between work mode and parent mode.
So instead of rushing in, still checking emails on my phone, I should be
What?
meditating, doing a yoga pose.
Not necessarily, but it could be as simple as taking a few minutes to just breathe deeply, maybe listen to some calming music on your commute home.
So it's about intentionally shifting gears, not just physically being present, but mentally and emotionally present too.
Precisely. And one of the most powerful things you can do is to truly focus on your children the moment you walk through that door.
Okay, easier said than done when there's dinner to cook and laundry piling up.
Oh, I know. But even just 5 minutes of undivided attention, putting down your phone, really engaging with them can make a huge difference.
It's about sending that message.
Yeah.
You are my priority right now.
And that sets a very different tone for the entire evening.
This is already making me rethink my after-work routine. Okay, let's dive into another area that I think a lot of working parents struggle with. Attachment theory.
Ah, yes, that feeling of guilt that we're somehow damaging our kids by not being with them 24/7.
Exactly. Like, are we screwing them up for life by having jobs?
Well, Cleare tackles that head-on, debunking the myth that a child needs a single, always-present caregiver to thrive.
Okay, that's a release to hear. Does she suggest that having multiple caregivers is actually beneficial?
Yes. And she emphasizes that building a secure attachment is an ongoing process, not a one-time event.
So it's not about the quantity of time, but the quality of those interactions.
Absolutely. It's about consistently responding to your child's needs, being emotionally available, and adapting to their ever-evolving stages of development.
So even small moments of genuine connection where we're truly present can make a big impact.
Think of it as sprinkling those micro moments of connection throughout the week rather than trying to cram it all into a weekend.
This is all tying back to that idea of parental attention as our superpower, right?
Precisely. By understanding attachment theory, we can use that superpower to build strong, secure bonds with our children, even amidst the chaos of our busy lives.
I love that. This deep dive is already giving me so much to think about, and I can't wait to explore some of the practical strategies that Cleare offers for specific challenges like, oh, those chaotic mornings where everyone's rushing and tensions are high.
Ah, yes, mornings. That's where her advice really shines. She encourages us to analyze our routines, identify those recurring pitfalls, and then strategize solutions.
So instead of just reacting in the heat of the moment, we take a step back and become like morning routine detectives.
Exactly. Like, maybe the problem isn't that your child is inherently slow at getting dressed, but that their clothes are stored in a way that makes it difficult for them to access. It's about identifying those environmental factors that might be contributing to the chaos.
I love that she emphasizes handing over control to our children as much as possible, like turning getting ready tasks into opportunities for them to develop independence.
Instead of constantly nagging, we can empower them to take ownership.
Maybe a visual checklist could replace my endless reminders about shoes and backpacks.
Exactly. Even young children are capable of so much more than we often give them credit for.
It's a win-win. Less stress for us, more autonomy for them.
Precisely. And speaking of common parenting struggles, let's talk about sibling rivalry.
Oh, don't even get me started. It feels like I'm constantly refereeing battles over toys and perceived injustices.
It's a universal experience, and Cleare delves into the psychological underpinnings of why it's so prevalent.
Okay, lay it on me.
It boils down to this. Children are inherently driven to secure attention and establish their own unique identity within the family.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
They're competing for resources in a way.
Exactly. And here's the kicker. We, as parents, often unintentionally exacerbate the situation.
How so? I feel like I'm bending over backwards, to be fair.
It's often not about fairness, it's about attention. Cleare observes that we tend to give more attention to the fighting than to the peaceful moments.
Oh, I see what you mean. It's like our attention gets hijacked by the loudest voice in the room.
Exactly. And by doing so, we inadvertently reinforce the idea that conflict equals parental engagement
So we're actually rewarding the very behavior we're trying to extinguish.
without even realizing it. So how do we break that cycle? Well, Cleare offers a range of strategies, but one of the most powerful is simply to become more aware of where our attention is going.
So instead of rushing in to mediate every squabble, we should be actively noticing and praising those moments when they're getting along.
Precisely. Catch them being good. It's about shifting our focus from conflict management to cooperation cultivation.
I love that. This reframes sibling rivalry in such a helpful way. It's not about eradicating conflict altogether, but about teaching our kids how to navigate those disagreements constructively while also fostering a culture of kindness and collaboration.
Exactly. And remember, every interaction is an opportunity for learning.
This deep dive is already revolutionizing my approach to parenting. I can't wait to hear Cleare's wisdom on another hot-button issue, homework.
Ah, yes, homework. That dreaded word that can turn peaceful evenings into battlegrounds.
Seriously, tell me she has some magical solution for making it all go smoothly.
Well, she doesn't offer any quick fixes, but she does provide a framework for approaching homework in a way that reduces stress and promotes learning.
Okay, I'm all ears. How do we transform homework time from a source of conflict to, dare I say it, a positive experience?
Cleare encourages us to shift our focus from outcomes to the process of learning itself. Instead of fixating on grades, we can celebrate our children's effort, their problem-solving skills, their unique learning styles.
So we're emphasizing the journey, not just the destination.
Precisely. And that's how we foster a growth mindset in our children. They learn to embrace challenges, to view mistakes as opportunities for growth, and to find joy in the process of learning.
This is music to my ears. But what about practical strategies for actually creating a conducive homework environment? I'm picturing a Zen-like study sanctuary, complete with aromatherapy and noise-canceling headphones.
A peaceful study space can certainly help. But Cleare's advice is more grounded than that. She recommends establishing a consistent homework routine, carving out a dedicated space that's free from distractions, and involving our children in setting realistic goals and timelines.
I love that. It's about empowering them to take ownership of their learning experience, not just dictating what they need to do.
And she wisely reminds us that we don't have to be experts in every subject.
Thank goodness for that. Sometimes my brain feels completely fried after a day of work.
Sometimes the most valuable support we can offer is simply being present, listening attentively, and offering encouragement. We're their cheerleaders, not their tutors.
This takes so much pressure off. And speaking of navigating the digital landscape, I'm eager to hear Cleare's take on the ever-present challenge of managing technology.
Ah, yes, the screen time dilemma. It's a minefield of parental anxieties.
Are we raising a generation of screen-addicted zombies?
Cleare acknowledges those concerns, but she also recognizes that technology is an integral part of our world.
So it's not about banning it altogether, but about finding a healthy balance.
Exactly. She emphasizes the importance of setting clear boundaries and creating tech-free zones within our homes, like designating the dinner table as a sacred space for conversation or having a no screens in the bedroom policy to promote restful sleep.
She also suggests keeping a family time tech diary to track how much screen time is actually happening. It's like a reality check for the whole family.
It's a great way to raise awareness of our own habits and model responsible technology use for our children. After all, they learn by watching us.
This is making me rethink my own phone addiction. What other tactics does she recommend?
Cleare encourages us to be more intentional in how we utilize technology. Instead of just passively consuming content, we can guide our children toward more creative and interactive uses, like coding, digital art, composing music, creating videos.
Well, it's about empowering them to become creators, not just consumers.
Precisely. It's about helping them develop a healthy and balanced relationship with technology, recognizing both its possibilities and limitations.
This deep dive into the work-parent switch is already transforming my understanding of parenting.
It's been a pleasure unpacking these insights with you.
Cleare's message is so reassuring. We don't have to be perfect. We just need to be present, loving, and willing to keep learning and growing alongside our children.
And that's a journey we're all on together.
This has been so insightful. I can't wait to hear more about Cleare's advice on specific challenges, like managing those chaotic mornings, navigating sibling rivalry, and tackling homework battles.
We'll dive into all of that and more in our next episode.
So stay tuned.
So where were we? Oh, right, homework. It really can be a challenge for so many families.
I feel like Every parent I know has some homework horror story.
And it often feels like a battle of wills, right?
Absolutely. And it just sucks the joy out of the evening. But Cleare has this really refreshing approach, doesn't she?
She does, and I think a lot of it comes from shifting our perspective away from the end result, the grade,
Right. Not just focusing on getting that A+.
and instead focusing on the process of learning itself, applauding their effort, recognizing their individual learning style, appreciating how they problem solve.
Yeah, I can see how that takes the pressure off a bit. It makes it more about actually learning.
Precisely. And this is where she talks about fostering what she calls a growth mindset.
I've heard of that. It's about viewing challenges as opportunities, right?
Exactly. Mistakes become stepping stones, obstacles become a chance to get creative.
Okay, I love that. But how do we actually create a good environment for homework? I'm picturing a Zen garden, aromatherapy diffusers, soundproof walls.
Well, while peaceful space is helpful, Cleare's advice is a bit more, shall we say, down to earth.
So less spa, more?
More routine, consistent homework time, a dedicated space, but one that's realistic, free from distractions, but not necessarily a soundproof bunker.
Right, right.
And she's a big advocate for involving the kids in setting goals.
Oh, so they have a say in their schedule. That's interesting.
It helps them take ownership of their learning, makes it feel less like something that's being imposed on them.
Instead of us nagging them, we're more like facilitators.
Exactly. And another thing, she reminds us that we don't have to be walking encyclopedias.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah.
Because some nights, my brain is just fried.
Sometimes the most helpful thing we can do is just be there, listen to them, offer encouragement. We're their cheerleaders, not their tutors.
So less pressure on everyone. I like that. Okay, on to another big topic in the book, technology.
The screen time struggle is real.
Right. Are we creating little screen addicts? I mean, it feels unavoidable these days.
Cleare doesn't sugarcoat the potential downsides, that's for sure. She talks about sleep disruption, social skills, focus issues.
Yeah, all the things that keep us up at night.
But she also acknowledges that technology is just part of life now. It's not going away.
So how do we find that balance?
Boundaries, that's a big one. And tech-free zones.
Like no phones at the dinner table.
Exactly. Or no devices in the bedroom an hour before sleep.
I like that. Makes sense.
She also has this idea of a family time tech diary to track how much screen time is actually happening for everyone.
Ooh, that would be eye-opening, I bet. For the parents, too.
Exactly. And the point is, kids learn from what we do more than what we say, so we have to model responsible tech use.
So true. This is making me reevaluate my own habits. Any other tactics?
Cleare is a big believer in being intentional. So instead of just passive consumption, encourage them to use tech for creative things.
Oh, okay. Like what? Give me some examples.
Coding, making art or music on the computer, filming videos, learning new skills online.
Oh, so it's not about fearing technology, but about using it in a way that empowers them.
Exactly. Creators, not just consumers.
Okay, that is a great point. Now I'm thinking we need to take a break. My brain needs a moment to process all of this.
I hear you. There's so much packed into this book, isn't there?
It's incredible. Let's take a quick break and come back with even more insights from the work-parent switch. Okay, I think I've caught my breath. That last section on technology really got me thinking.
It's such a relevant topic, isn't it? And it's constantly evolving. What feels like a good approach today might be outdated tomorrow.
It's a moving target, that's for sure. But one thing that's consistent throughout the work-parent switch is Cleare's emphasis on self-care.
Oh, absolutely. She really hammers that point home, and I think for good reason. So many parents, especially working moms, feel guilty about taking time for themselves.
It's like we're supposed to be these selfless martyrs, sacrificing everything for our children.
And she dismantles that myth so effectively. She reminds us that self-care isn't selfish, it's essential for our own well-being. And when we're feeling good, we're able to show up for our kids in a much more positive way.
So it's not about indulging in some extravagant spa day. It's about those small, everyday things that help us recharge.
Exactly. Taking a few minutes to meditate, reading a chapter in a book, going for a walk, even just 5 minutes of quiet time can make a difference.
It's about filling our own cup so we can pour into theirs. And this ties into another important point that Cleare makes. Good enough parenting.
Ah, yes. The permission slip we all need. We don't have to be perfect. We just have to be present, loving, and willing to learn and grow alongside our children.
I think that's so important to remember, especially in today's social media-driven world where everyone seems to be showcasing their picture-perfect family life.
It's easy to get caught up in the comparison game, to feel like we're constantly falling short. But Clear reminds us that our children don't need perfect parents. They need authentic parents.
Parents who are real, who make mistakes, and who are willing to learn from those mistakes.
Exactly. And remember, our kids learn more from what we do than what we say.
Yeah.
So if we're constantly stressing about being perfect, that's the message they're absorbing.
That's a sobering thought. Okay, before we wrap up this deep dive, I think it'd be helpful to recap some of the key takeaways from the work-parent switch. Would you be up for creating a little cheat sheet for our listeners?
I'd love to. Let's distill all this wisdom into a 10-point action plan.
Perfect. Okay, number 1, be aware of those sneaky parenting holes. Wanting family time to be perfect, giving in to avoid conflict, being inconsistent, focusing on the negative instead of the positive. Recognize them so you can avoid them.
Number 2, leave work at work. Transition intentionally between your professional life and your role as a parent. That might mean a calming commute ritual or simply taking a few deep breaths before you step into your home.
Number 3, nurture those attachments. Spend quality time with your children. Be emotionally present. Respond to their needs. Remember, connection is key.
Number 4, become an active listener. Sometimes our kids don't need us to fix their problems, they just need us to hear them. Acknowledge their feelings, validate their experiences.
Number 5, make time for play. It's not a luxury, it's essential for their development, and it's a great stress reliever for us too.
Number 6, remember that your attention is your superpower. Use it wisely to encourage the behaviors you want to see more of. Notice those little wins, celebrate those moments of cooperation, acknowledge effort.
Number 7, create calm mornings by analyzing those trouble spots and simplifying your routine. And as much as possible, give your kids age-appropriate control over their own getting-ready process.
Number 8, minimize sibling rivalry by focusing on cooperation, not conflict. Praise those moments of harmony and teach those essential conflict resolution skills.
Number 9, homework doesn't have to be a battle. Approach it as a collaborative learning journey, focusing on effort, process, and fostering a growth mindset.
And finally, number 10, set clear boundaries around technology and create tech-free zones to protect family time and ensure that your children are getting those essential ingredients of a healthy childhood: play, sleep, social interaction, and exploration.
Wow, what an incredible list. If we can even incorporate a few of these strategies, I think we'll be well on our way to a more balanced and joyful family life.
I completely agree. It's all about progress, not perfection.
This deep dive into the work-parent switch has been such a valuable experience. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey.
It's been my pleasure. And to all of our listeners, remember, you've got this. Parenting is a journey, not a destination. Embrace the messiness, celebrate the small victories, and never be afraid to ask for help. We're all in this together.
And that's a wrap on this episode of The Deep Dive. We'll see you next time for another fascinating exploration.